All right, so today we're going to really take a deep dive into this NVIDIA Jetson Orin Nano Super.
Okay.
Um, and it's really causing a lot of buzz in the tech world. Yeah, I think for a really good reason.
Yeah.
Just imagine this tiny little computer,
Mm-hmm.
but it's powerful enough to run some serious AI,
Right.
and the price point is just blowing everyone away. It's only $250.
Yeah, that's unheard of, really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the Orin Nano Super in a nutshell.
Uh-huh.
For those who maybe aren't as familiar, we're talking about a single board computer or an SBC.
Right.
And essentially it's everything you need, the processor, the memory, all packed onto a single board.
Yep. It's pretty amazing what they've been able to do, packing that much power into such a small device.
Yeah, it's funny because I remember back in the day when I first started getting into this stuff,
Yeah.
you need a whole room full of equipment to even come close to that kind of power.
Yeah. You needed a server room, basically.
And now we're talking about something that can fit in the palm of your hand.
It's crazy, isn't it? And for that price, it's really kind of a game changer.
It really is. So let's break down some of the specs because I think that's where it really starts to sink in just how impressive this thing is.
Okay, so we're talking about 67 TOPS of AI performance, which is just mind-blowing when you think about it.
Okay, so for those who might not be familiar with the term TOPS, can you break that down a little bit?
Sure, TOPS stands for trillions of operations per second.
Trillions with a T.
That's right, trillions. So it's essentially a measure of how many calculations the AI processor can perform in a single second. And to put that in perspective,
Yeah.
67 TOPS is more powerful than some of the early supercomputers.
That's insane. And we're talking about something that you can buy for under $300.
It's incredible what they've been able to achieve.
So you're essentially holding a mini supercomputer in your hand.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
So what can you actually do with that kind of power?
I mean, the possibilities are pretty much endless, but to give you some concrete examples, we're talking about being able to decode multiple 4K video streams simultaneously.
Wow.
Running complex AI models in real time, even controlling robots all at the same time.
So this isn't just a toy for hobbyists. This is something that can be used for some serious applications.
Absolutely. It has the potential to revolutionize a lot of industries.
The price point is really what's got me scratching my head. Like, how is NVIDIA able to offer this much power for such a low price?
It seems like they're really playing the long game here. Their goal seems to be to democratize AI development, make it accessible to everyone.
It's like they're saying, here's the power. Go create something amazing.
Exactly.
I mean, think about the impact this could have on education, for example.
Oh, absolutely. Imagine classrooms all over the world, students learning about AI, hands-on, building their own projects with this kind of technology.
Look, that's the future right
Yeah,
there.
it is. And it's not just about education. It's about empowering small startups, individuals, hobbyists to experiment and innovate with AI without needing massive funding.
So it's really about leveling the playing field, giving everyone a chance to participate in the AI revolution.
That's exactly it.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the power and the price, but let's get down to brass tacks here. What are some of the real-world applications where this Orin Nano Super really shines?
Well, one area that has everyone excited is AI at the edge.
Okay, but before we get too far ahead of ourselves, can you explain what edge computing means for those who might not be familiar with the term?
Sure. So instead of sending all your data to the cloud for processing, edge computing allows you to process data locally right there on the device itself.
So it's kind of like having a mini data center right there in your hand.
Exactly. And that has a lot of advantages. Processing is much faster. There's no lag time waiting for data to travel back and forth to the cloud.
So it's all about speed and efficiency.
Yeah, and you're not relying on a constant internet connection for your device to function.
So for those who are concerned about data privacy or working in environments with limited connectivity, edge computing is a really attractive solution.
Absolutely.
So how does the Orin Nano Super enable these kinds of edge computing applications?
Well, it all comes down to that incredible processing power we talked about earlier with 67 TOPS. It can handle complex AI tasks right there on the device without needing to rely on the cloud.
So give us some real-world examples. What kind of things could you actually do with the Orin Nano Super for edge computing?
Okay, so imagine an autonomous robot navigating a complex environment. It needs to make split-second decisions based on real-time data from its sensors.
Right.
With edge computing, all the processing happens right there on the robot itself, allowing for much faster and more reliable responses.
So no more delays waiting for instructions from the cloud.
Exactly. Or imagine a smart security system that can instantly detect a threat and respond without needing to send footage to the cloud for analysis.
Okay, so it's all about real-time decision-making without relying on a central server.
That's the power of edge computing with the Orin Nano Super.
We touched on robotics earlier, and I know that's an area where the Orin Nano Super is generating a lot of excitement. So can you dive a little deeper into that? What kind of robotic projects could someone build to this thing?
Oh man, the possibilities are vast. I mean, you could build anything from a simple robot that follows a line to a complex humanoid robot that can interact with its environment.
Wow, so this isn't just for kids building robots in their basement. This is something that could be used for serious research and development.
Absolutely. And it's not just about the processing power, it's also about the size and the affordability of the Orin Nano Super. It makes robotics accessible to a much wider audience.
So what are some of the specific capabilities that the Orin Nano Super brings to the world of robotics?
Well, it can handle complex tasks like sensor fusion, which means combining data from multiple sensors to get a complete picture of the environment. It can also handle path planning, which is essentially figuring out the best route for a robot to take to reach its destination. And most importantly, it can handle computer vision.
Okay, so computer vision, that's what allows robots to see and understand their surroundings, right?
Exactly. And with the Orin Nano Super's powerful GPU, it can do computer vision tasks like object recognition and tracking in real time.
So a robot could identify a person or an object and then make decisions based on what it sees.
That's right. And all of that processing is happening right there on the robot itself, thanks to edge computing.
This is pretty mind-blowing stuff.
It is, and we're just scratching the surface here.
So you're saying that this tiny device, this Orin Nano Super, could be the key to unlocking a whole new era of robotics.
I think that's a very real possibility.
Well, this has been an incredible deep dive so far, but we've only just begun to explore the amazing capabilities of the Orin Nano Super. So stay tuned because we're going to take a short break, and then we'll be back to delve even deeper into the real-world impact of this game-changing technology.
Sounds good. So, we were talking about software compatibility before the break and how sometimes that ARM architecture can cause a bit of a headache for developers.
Yeah, it definitely seems like something that could trip people up.
Yeah. Most desktop and laptop computers use what's called x86 architecture.
Okay.
But the Orin Nano Super, like many mobile devices and other single-board computers, uses ARM architecture.
So it's kind of like they speak different languages.
Exactly. It's like trying to run a Windows program on a Mac. Sometimes it works seamlessly, but often you need to find a translator.
So the software needs to be translated to run on the Orin Nano Super.
Yeah, basically. But the good news is the Jetson community is really active and helpful, and you can often find pre-compiled versions of popular software that will run on the Orin Nano Super without any extra work.
So it's not always a DIY situation.
No, not at all. And if you do need to compile something yourself, there are usually really detailed instructions available online.
That's good to know because I know a lot of people might be intimidated by that kind of thing.
Yeah, it can seem daunting, but honestly, it's not as bad as it sounds.
Okay, so let's talk about another potential challenge we touched on earlier, and that's RAM limitations. The Orin Nano Super comes with 8 GB of RAM, which sounds like a lot, but is that really enough for serious AI development?
Well, it really depends on what you're trying to do for many projects. 8 GB will be plenty. You can run a lot of different AI models and applications without any problems.
Okay.
But if you're dealing with massive data sets or you're trying to train really complex AI models, the kind that have billions of parameters,
Right.
then yeah, you might run into some limitations. 8 GB of RAM might not be enough to handle that kind of workload.
So what are your options if you need to work with those kinds of massive data sets or really complex models?
Well, one option is to try and optimize the AI model itself to reduce its size and memory requirements.
Okay, so kind of slimming it down a bit.
Exactly. There are techniques like model pruning and quantization that can help with that.
Interesting.
And another option is to use cloud-based resources for training those really big models.
So basically offload some of the heavy lifting to the cloud.
Right, exactly. You can take advantage of the massive computing power that's available in the cloud to train your models, and then you can deploy them on the Orin Nano Super once they're trained.
So it's a hybrid approach. You're using the best of both worlds.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's talk about another important consideration, and that's power consumption. We know the Orin Nano Super is a powerful little device, but that power comes at a price.
Right, that's true. High performance usually means higher power consumption.
So how does the Orin Nano Super stack up against other single-board computers in terms of power draw?
Well, it can draw significantly more power than something like a Raspberry Pi, especially when it's running demanding applications.
Okay, so that's definitely something to keep in mind if you're building a project where power consumption is a major concern.
Absolutely. Like if you're building a battery-powered robot or a portable AI device, you need to be really mindful of how much power your device is using.
So what can you do to minimize the power draw of the Orin Nano Super? Are there any tricks of the trade?
Well, first of all, you want to make sure you're using a power supply that can deliver enough wattage.
Right. The right tool for the job.
Exactly. And then you can also optimize your code to be as efficient as possible. Get rid of any unnecessary processing that could be draining the battery.
So basically write lean and mean code.
Exactly. And then there are also some more advanced techniques like power gating.
Okay, I've heard of that. What is power gating exactly?
Well, it's basically a way to selectively shut down parts of the device when they're not being used.
So kind of like putting them to sleep.
Exactly, and that can really help to conserve battery life.
So it sounds like there are ways to manage the power consumption, but it's definitely something you need to be aware of from the start.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the technical details, but let's step back for a moment and think about the bigger picture. Why should the average person care about the Orin Nano Super?
That's a great question. We're talking about the democratization of AI. This technology is no longer just for big companies and research labs. It's now within reach of individual students, small businesses.
So it's about empowering people.
Exactly. It's about giving people the tools to create and innovate with AI in ways that we haven't even imagined yet.
So it's not just about the technology itself, it's about the possibilities it unlocks.
Absolutely. Think about students learning about AI and robotics in a hands-on way, building their own projects.
Right?
Imagine a small startup developing an innovative AI-powered product without needing massive funding, or an artist using AI to create groundbreaking new forms of art.
So it's really about unleashing creativity and innovation.
That's exactly
And
it.
it's inspiring to think about the potential ripple effects of this technology.
It really is, and we just focused on a few specific examples, but it seems like the applications of this device are almost limitless.
It really does feel like we're just scratching the surface here.
Yeah, I think as the technology continues to evolve, we're going to see even more creative and impactful applications emerge.
It's a really exciting time to be following the evolution of AI and its impact on our world.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Now, before we wrap up this deep dive, there's one more thing I want to touch on, and that's the potential downsides of this technology.
Okay.
We've talked about all the potential benefits, but are there any risks involved as this technology becomes more widespread and more powerful?
That's a really important point to consider. We can't just focus on the positive aspects and ignore the potential risks.
Right. It's like any powerful tool, it can be used for good or for bad.
Exactly. So we need to be mindful of the potential downsides as we explore the possibilities.
So what are some specific concerns that come to mind when you think about the potential downsides of AI?
Well, one concern is the potential for bias. We've seen examples of AI systems exhibiting bias, and that can have real-world consequences.
Right. It's important to make sure that these systems are designed and trained in a way that is fair and unbiased.
Exactly. We need to be very careful about how we develop and deploy these systems to make sure that they're used ethically and responsibly.
And that's not just a technical challenge, it's a societal challenge as well.
Absolutely. It's something that we need to address as a society.
Are there any other risks that we should be thinking about?
Well, another concern is the potential impact on employment. As AI systems become more capable, they could potentially automate jobs that are currently done by humans.
Right. That's something that a lot of people are worried about.
Yeah, and it's a valid concern. It's something that we need to be aware of and start planning for.
It's not just about replacing jobs, it's about creating new opportunities and making sure that everyone benefits from the advancements in AI.
Exactly. It's about finding ways to adapt and evolve as a society.
So it's a complex issue with no easy answers.
It is, but it's a conversation that we need to be having.
Absolutely. So
Well,
it sounds like the key takeaway here is that we need to be thoughtful and intentional about how we develop and use these powerful technologies.
I completely agree. We can't just blindly embrace progress without considering the potential risks.
It's about finding the right balance between innovation and responsibility.
Well said. It's a balancing act, and one that will require ongoing dialogue and collaboration between researchers, developers, policymakers, and the public.
So it's really a collective effort.
It is. We all have a role to play in shaping the future of AI.
Well, this has been a really thought-provoking discussion. And I think it's a good reminder that technology is a tool. And like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad.
Absolutely.
And it's up to us to make sure that we're using it wisely and responsibly.
I couldn't agree more.
Now, with that in mind, let's move on to the final part of our deep dive, where we'll explore the broader implications of the Orin Nano Super and discuss what the future might hold for this game-changing technology.
Sounds good.
We're back and ready to wrap up our deep dive into the Orin Nano Super. It's been a wild ride.
It really has, from the power to the price to the sheer potential. It's hard not to be impressed with this little device.
We've talked about so many possibilities already, from robotics and AI at the edge to gaming and emulation, but it still feels like we're just scratching the surface. What other areas could see major disruption from this kind of technology?
Oh man, where do I even start? Healthcare is a big one. Imagine portable AI-powered diagnostic tools that could be taken to remote areas or used in disaster relief situations.
That's a game changer for so many people, especially those who don't have easy access to medical care. What else?
Well, think about education. We're already seeing personalized learning experiences, but imagine taking that to a whole new level with AI-powered tutors that can adapt to each student's individual needs.
That's incredible. It could really revolutionize how we learn.
And don't forget about smart cities. AI could optimize traffic flow, reduce energy consumption, and even help predict and prevent crime.
It sounds like a futuristic utopia. But at the same time, it's a bit daunting to think about the scale of change that's coming.
It is. But I think it's important to remember that this kind of technological disruption has always been a part of human history. We've always found ways to adapt and thrive.
That's a good point. And in many ways, this feels like a really positive disruption. It's about empowering people with powerful tools and democratizing access to cutting-edge technology.
Exactly. The Orin Nano Super isn't just a device, it's a symbol of a much larger trend. It's about making technology work for everyone, not just a select few.
And that's what makes this whole conversation so exciting. It's not about predicting the future, it's about creating it.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So, to everyone listening, we leave you with this challenge. How would you use the power of the Orin Nano Super? What problems would you solve? What creations would you bring to life?
Let your imagination run wild. The tools are out there, the resources are available, and the community is waiting to welcome you.
That's it for our deep dive into the Orin Nano Super. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep innovating, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
And remember, the future of AI is in your hands.